strategy is to just be really defensive and highly armored up and ready for these aggressive tactics, then jungle just has a tough time. This matchup, I don't think Tegridy Damp are playing kind of incredibly invulnerable specializations at the moment for jungle. Beastmastery and Feral both get a lot of uptime against a Warlock who relies on using kiting and slows to avoid being attacked. So this is a series where I would like to think Ad Hoc Gaming is going to have a good shot. But if they run the Discipline Priest variant, obviously Warlock teams are known for running other healers out of mana. That could be a weakness for them. So maybe we do see a Holy Priest from them right off the get-go instead of a Discipline Priest. Tegridy Damp likely, I think, are going to play Druid to try and get the heal over time effects, healing while the Druid is in a freezing trap. That's usually a good way to counter crowd control, is by having heal over time effects, whereas a Paladin, when they're crowd controlled, they're not doing any healing output. So I would imagine we're going to see some very interesting compositions from both these teams in terms of the competition. So if you want something that's fresh in terms of a meta to start the circuit off, this is really the best you're going to get.
Yeah, it most certainly is. And all of the teams that we're going to be seeing today are certainly the best that we're going to get here in the AWC. These are the top 8 teams, and we're going to be able to see them battle it out for the next couple of weeks in this circuit series. It's game number 1 here on the Grand Arena. It's Tegridy Damp versus Ad Hoc Gaming.
I mean, we're going to see very quickly what these teams do decide to lock in blind. For Ad Hoc Gaming, we're kind of anticipating jungle. For Tegridy Damp, lots of different options, but this is a really important series for both these teams. Every single one of these matchups in this kind of round-robin stage, the points you pick up, the victories you get, they really do have a huge impact on your ability to make that top 4. So lots on the line. We'll be getting into this game really, really soon. I'm curious to see if we do see the Beastmaster specialization. Just watching through streams and playing on the ladder, it seems like a lot of hunters have kind of adopted that, and that's something we really didn't see. I don't think we saw that a single time throughout the cup stages, so definitely really interesting, and I am curious to see how it does work out for them.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I don't think we've seen any BM hunters really. And in addition to that, something that Sid said is something I've been thinking about as well. Are we going to see a Holy Priest here? Because Holy Priest has been moving up the healer tier list. You're going to have less aggression with that Holy Priest, but you're going to have more opportunity to win the game. You're going to last a little bit longer, and that's going to be really nice for the Holy Priest team. And also, one really nice thing about the Holy Priest is that it makes it very easy to land crowd control. If you have a Holy Priest on your team, you can go play the ranged stun, and you just drop a ranged stun and the hunter can launch his trap. Or you can also do the chastise fear combos, and you just basically chastise the enemy healer, drop a feather on yourself, use the fade so you can't get crowd control while you're crossing the map, and you have a pretty guaranteed way to land crowd control that way. And then you can even opt to play Diamond Eyes and kill healers, or you can play just a regular trap and go for cross CC that way and have 2 people crowd controlled. So there's a lot of interesting things there with the Holy Priest, but we'll see if they opt for the Holy Priest. I think giving up Dark Archangel for sure is pretty tough, and also some of that shield mitigations. We are going to see this Priest.
I mean, it's another thing we haven't talked too much about. Maybe we did, but Druids are they're better now for sure. They're better now, and they work really, really well with the Affliction Warlock. So this kind of rot composition that Tegridy Damp has, it could work out. It could get Relza out of mana, but also at the same time, you have 2 really squishy targets for the jungle team. And I am a little bit afraid here for Walrick. Fnobber's still going to have to be on his A game if he wants to keep his Warlock alive against a composition like this.
Oh, we're going to have to do a remake, I think, there. Looks like there was a problem for Ad Hoc Gaming, but of course, if you leave the game before the gates open, you're not going to be losing that point. So while they sort out what's going on, we did get a lot of information, though. It was kind of as I expected. The rest of Druid, Shadow Priest, Warlock versus the jungle. I didn't know if it'd be Disc or Holy, but they decided to go for aggression. And that seems to be what the jungles prefer. I mean, it's playing into the strengths of the comp, but I know Warlock, Shadow Priest love seeing Disc Priest just run them out of mana.
Yeah, so the game plan is... Sorry, you on?
I was just gonna, tell chat, thanks for being patient with us while we get these guys ready to go here. And it should be starting soon. And yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So now we did see. Was the Hunter BM or no? Was he survival?
I I'm now forgetting what it was after they left.
Yeah, look.
I feel like I actually feel like he was MM. I thought I saw double tap.
No
But maybe
way.
I'm not.
Really?
I can't remember to give you. We're gonna see it again anyway. It's not gonna be a big surprise. So he is BM. He's got Beast of
He is
Wrath.
BM.
He's got Aspect of the Wild. So first time we see a Resto Druid, I think, at all in the tournament play this year. First time we're gonna see a Beast Mastery Hunter in the tournament play so far this year, and they're going head to head.
It's really rare where you don't see a mage. So I mean,
Or Paladin.
where we don't see a mage,
Or Warrior.
or Paladin, or Warrior,
Or a Rogue.
no
or
Warrior. Yeah, it's just one of those series. There's no Warriors, there's no mages, and there's no Paladin. So 905 already, you can tell there has been some changes. Tegridy Damp versus Ad Hoc Gaming. Gates are going to open here in just a few short seconds. For the side of Tegridy Damp, their main strategy is just going to be survive, get out as much damage as you can. If Zot can get a nice setup with Mind Games and Silence, he can basically set himself up. There is kill potential, but I think for Tegridy Damp, they just have to hold on and try to get Rels out of mana.
Yeah, exactly. So Ad Hoc Gaming gonna be the aggressors in this match. They want to go land a crowd control on the Druid and then kill either the Shadow Priest or the Warlock. Whereas, like Ben already mentioned, Tegridy Damp, their job is just to survive. Anytime a freezing trap lands, this man on your screen right now, Zot, he's gonna need to do a good job with his Fade, with Master Spells, things like that. Mind controls to really be as disruptive as possible. And they are going to go after the Warlock here. Double stun combo, big damage here immediately onto Warwicks. Do they get the freezing trap? Nice Master Spell coming out around the corner from Zot. And that's exactly what we were just talking about there. You want to get that Shadow Priest to be able to disrupt as much as possible. If you are Tegridy Damp, Zot being able to land that means that they are going to have free reign now to get counter pressure. Big damage here from Warwicks with Dark Soul. Zot still taking a lot of damage though, and so far they haven't forced anything on the side of Ad Hoc Gaming, so I would say Tegridy Damp looking good right now.
You know, Resto Druids are really good at healing a single target at the moment, and what Ad Hoc Gaming are doing is they've ran a Necrolord Feral Druid, which means Cassidy's built more around his bleed damage, and he can apply bleeds to multiple targets, so he's swapping targets. Anytime he sees Life Bloom on the Shadow Priest, he goes after the Warlock and starts attacking the Warlock. When the Warlock gets big heal over time effects, then switches back to the Shadow Priest. This is an expert tactic against a Resto Druid. This is not only going to put them behind, but it will run them out of mana the fastest, and they might actually be able to win on mana if they can sustain their pressure. However, they are fighting in the faces of both Walrick and Zot, obviously high-level Shadow Priest and Warlock players, so I would imagine their damage is starting to already be noticeable with Relza hovering at 50% health, and Mind Games with Unstable Affliction makes it so that the healer can heal, but also can't dispel Mind Games without taking a big Unstable Affliction hit. That's a risky gamble Relza's going to have to be aware of throughout the fight.
Yeah, and he's going to have to rotate through his cooldowns quite well. On the flip side, Cassidy is going to be able to assist him quite a lot with his off heals on that Feral Druid, so definitely not working through all this damage by himself. Cassidy getting swapped too, could just get dropped! Fleshcraft comes in, he's trying to just line of sight, he's trying to get away. Relza finally gets the Power Word Shield and connects some healing, but what a close call that was. And you can tell, I mean, Tegridy Damp, they have that potential mana win condition, but if you fall behind and Zot gets out enough burst, he can easily drop anyone on the side of Ad Hoc Gaming. And a lot of these hybrid classes, especially Feral Druid, they're very susceptible to Mind Games, not going to be able to heal himself up during that crowd control. Super potent from that Shadow Priest. One thing I definitely want to be looking for in this match is Phenobbers and his ability to kind of get away. If Walrick and Zot are stable, him sneaking away, drinking, recovering his mana is definitely going to put his team even further ahead.
Yeah, and Phenobbers actually trinketed the last time he crowd controlled, and now he's stuck in this CC chain. This could be big. No, Warwick's playing the impetus spell right there, so he actually does get the 50-50. When you play that jungle, you want to combo the trap with the entangling roots. The imp can only dispel one of those effects. This time around, they got lucky and they dispelled the Phenobbers out of that one trap that he didn't have a trinket for. This was an opportunity for Ad Hoc Gaming to get a lot of pressure, and now it has been lost. The good thing for Ad Hoc Gaming right now is that their mana of Relza is not really looking too bad. Almost 3.5 minutes in here, and he's still looking pretty healthy in terms of mana, but there's a lot of pressure to heal through right now. He had to use a Radiance right there, and that's exactly what you don't want to be doing as the Priest. You want to be letting Atonement do most of the work, just heal with damage. Cassidy stopping Fnobber's drink right there. Fnobber's going to go ahead and use his Innervate here, so he's going to have no mana cost on his spells, which means that everybody on the side of Tegridy Damp is going to be fully loaded up with hots. And Cassidy is going to be in big trouble. Nice Vortex Mind Control combo. Mind Games coming out here, maybe. If they can combo Mind Games with UA, like you guys mentioned, it could be big as well for Tegridy Damp. Fnobber's immediately trying to sit down for a drink, but the pet stops him, and here comes the CC chain. Trap from Facile, comboed with the Entangling Roots, and there we go. The Imp dispelling the Entangling Roots means Warwick is going to be in a lot of trouble here, but the Master Spell comes through from Zot, and that means Warwick is not going to have to use anything once again. Tegridy Damp hangs on.
Yeah, they're even using Hunter's Mark, so they're using multiple magic covers on the Druid to try and make sure that trap can't be removed from the Imp. A lot more options to deal with that counterplay in Shadowlands than prior. We saw Battle for Azeroth Warlocks are just absolutely decimating Hunters by being able to remove their freezing traps, but having access to some of that returned utility is now allowing them to secure those crowd controls more often, and they actually netted on any resolve. They've got good pressure onto Zot. Rel's mana's in a healthy position despite facing a Warlock and a Shadow Priest. He has been able to get a lot of pressure out and maintain his mana, going after Warlocks with the Mind Games. Big damage. He's going to gate across out to midfield, but Fnobbers gets interrupted. Zot gets interrupted. Penance flies through. Cassidy's trying to fish for a Cyclone, catch someone at low health, doesn't find it, gets feared away into a Mind Games. Rel's in a silence. They're going to have to retreat, duck behind the pillar, and start to lick their wounds. Fnobbers is going to take that opportunity immediately to try and drink. Facile tries to hit him with a flare, and he needs to try and send his pets onto the Druid to stop him from drinking. He's going to go for an Intimidation stun, likely a freezing trap. So is there going to be a Mass Dispel or an Imp Dispel? Doesn't look like it here. They've got good pressure on Zot. He's going to Greater Fade, but he actually cancels it a bit early. He's getting devastated by Facile. Popping Vampiric Embrace, trying to heal himself back up. Big Swiftman comes in. Zot's going to recover. It's Relza now that's falling a bit behind. I really like Facile's positioning here at the pillar to line the Shadow Priest and still attack the Warlock at the same time. It's all about avoiding as many dots as possible, as obviously Zot and Walrix have the most dots in the game on these classes. Facile and Relza, their positioning is great so far. That's why the mana is so high. And basically Tegridy Damp can only attack Cassidy, but now that they know Cassidy is the only target, he can start bolstering all of his defense. They can focus their cooldowns on him, and he can kind of just become a damage sponge while they try and work their way into dampening.
Fleshcraft is so potent, received big buffs in the most recent build, so whenever they are channeling Fleshcraft, that is a massive absorb, and likely they will survive unless it gets interrupted or crowd controlled somehow. Interrupt, more than likely. Walrus getting a little bit low here. Stun on Fnobbers. Walrus trying to potentially get away. No, just using Drain Life. Cassidy actually for the first time is having to run away behind the pillar. Relza's mana finally taking a bit of a hit. I'm surprised how long he was able to sustain his mana at near 100%, but now that dampening is getting higher, it becomes really difficult to sort of heal through all this Affliction Warlock damage, especially with all three targets getting hit. Relza going to be consistently looking for drinks in the matchup. Cassidy and Facile just looking to keep themselves alive. A Cyclone here on Zot. Walrix pushing in. Knows mana is a huge win condition, but Relza, he managed to recover a little bit there, just 10% on that drink, and that definitely puts him ahead in terms of damage right now. And at the same time, I mean, Fnobbers, his mana's not looking that great either, so healing through all this kind of single target damage and rot damage that Ad Hoc Gaming is bringing is really taxing him. I feel like in terms of mana, it's pretty even at this point in the game.
Yeah, it definitely is, and Relza is actually getting targeted a little bit more now. Warwick and Zot realizing, hey, we're not winning if we just dot Cassidy. We need to get dots on the Priest. We need to get more dots on, well, need more dots. Warwick's here getting kicked, taking a lot of damage here. Mind Games coming out onto Cassidy here. I do believe it was Dispel though. Relza still trying to pick himself up here with the Rapture cooldown, trying to keep everybody above 50%. This is an opportunity for Fnobbers to look for a drink here, and he's going to do exactly that. Shadow Mouth looking for the drink. Facile immediately leaping in, stopping that, but that means that he's going to be a target now. He's going to take a lot of dots. Fnobbers trying to channel his Fleshcraft, avoiding a CC chain right there. He gets Hunter's Mark. There is a regrowth being casted out. 3 Master Spells coming out here. Warwick's forced to use the Unending Resolve. There's the stun onto Fnobbers. Do they have a freezing trap? It doesn't look like it. Maybe it lands. Can they get an Imp Dispel on that or no? Doesn't look like it. it. I think they got the Entangling Roots. No, there it is. Finally, Imp the Spell coming through, and that means Cassidy is going to have to retreat. But Fnobber's mana not looking great, actually looking worse than Relza's mana right now. The jungle team just needs to keep the pressure here. They forced out the Unending Resolve, and they're slowly but surely getting themselves some win conditions. Warwick has Thorns, so Cassidy probably going to look for Cyclone there, and then try to chase down Zot here instead. And once again, Fnobber's getting stopped on his drink attempt. Zot in a Cyclone. This is a clean setup here. What are they going to do with it? Nice Howl of Terror by Warwick, trying to turn that 3 versus 1 into a 1 versus 1 essentially, but he gets stun locked behind the pillar. Cassidy once again focusing on healing himself a lot here. He doesn't want to tax Relza's mana unless absolutely necessary. And now once again, Tegridy Damp with a decent amount of pressure. Nobbers could be looking for a drink.
They're trying to get aggressive. Walrick has been standing on top of Relza and Cassidy, realizing they need to get dots on multiple targets. They're not going to be able to single target the Feral Druid down through the regrowths and the healing of the priest. So they're actually the ones that need to get aggressive, but they need to take that gamble at opportune times. Right now they're trying to drink. They're going to swap to Zot. Zot will gladly trade Disperse to get Fnobber some mana here if he gets any amount. Not the most amount. It's better than nothing. I was expecting him to be a bit higher than that. Now both of his partners are low health. This is where that Necrolord Feral build is going to start working wonders with dampening very high. Those bleeds will just tick away, and Fnobber's Hots won't be able to counteract them nearly as effectively. Cassidy jumping in, stun into Cyclone onto Walrick. They're going after Zot, trying to punish that dispersion. They don't have many damage cooldowns. They're trying to just push through. They activate Thorns from Fnobbers to try and redirect Cassidy off his target at the moment, and he's actually stunned up with a silence on Relza. Mind Games attempt by Zot. Mind Game's going to connect. Relza got Mind Games. He can dispel it. There's no UA. He should just dispel it in this position. He's gambling it, not dispelling it. He's losing a ton of mana on those Radiances as a result to try and recover. Perhaps, did he have UA on him at this time? Maybe the debuff counts are just not showing it to us here. Mind Games casted by Relza, trying to turn it around and punish Walrick for playing aggressive. He soul shapes back to the gateway. They're going to use Demonic Gateway and escape. They got all that they wanted from that. Getting 2 charges of Radiance, basically tapped Relza on mana. He's now at 10%. Big advantage to Tegridy Damp, assuming they can keep their momentum. However, Cassidy has Berserk. Relza has Shadow Fiend. Those are going to be very hard-hitting cooldowns. They're popping both of them at the same time. They're trying to go after Walrick and burst him down here with these cooldowns. They need to get a kill in this 20-second window. Can they do it? Fnobbers is interrupted. They're trying to push for it. Walrick is trying to heal back up with Hellstone. Is it going to be enough? Fnobber's Iron Bark is fading momentarily, and with it also its defense. He's going to go for the Snaring Ward. Still has Nature's Swiftness, still has a big heal in his back pocket. He's trying to be greedy.
No.
Now goes for it, totally restabilized. He needs to get aggressive on top of Relza and keep dots up. Relza's actually crossing midfield. That's very difficult to do against a Warlock, though, with that Sacrilash slow. Look at Relza just waddling around, trying to get in line of sight, but there's no more defense. Actually, Unending Resolve just came up. Can Walrick stay alive with it? He's trying to be greedy and hold on to it. I don't think he can afford to. He needs to counter pressure and cast out spells with this Unending Resolve, but he's just desperate. He's drained life. He's just spamming out drain life to try and stay alive. They're trying to go for the kill. Double kill. This is going to be a double kill. Cassidy and Relza is so dangerously low. No mana left for Relza at this point. They're trying to take Walrix out at the same time, and this could easily be a cross kill.
They have Void Shift, so Zot, he has the answer. If Walrus gets low, he just has to trade it out, and it looks like he will get dropped. And you can see, I mean, Ad Hoc Gaming, they had pretty good pressure this game on Walrick, on Zot. Fnobbers at the end of this game was completely tapped on mana, but I mean, at 40% dampening, you really can't ask more from a Discipline Priest, and that's kind of at the point where they are just going to fall over unless they play a little bit more conservative, but it's difficult. Honestly, I really like the way Tegridy Damp played that one near the end, where they kind of just pushed in. They realized just dotting one target wasn't really working out for them, and they just played on top of the enemy Discipline Priest. It gave them a lot more pressure.
Okay, well, we're going to see a game number 1 victory go to Tegridy Damp here. We can see the match results right now. Zico, anything important to note, or Super Tease?
What? I was not expecting the BM Hunter. Really I was not expecting the BM Hunter to come even close. Like, what? That's within shooting distance of the Warlock. I was not... What is BM? I mean, they lost, I guess, to be fair, but this is not normal for the scoreboard, I think.
Is that just the changes going out that we're seeing right here on the screen?
Yeah, I think it's that, but also Facil's positioning. He positions in a way where he just doesn't take damage. He really likes to sit at a pillar and just duck in and out the pillar and do damage to whatever the main target is at the time, and just avoid getting, casted dots on him. And he does a really good job with that. But yeah, I think those are the BM changes as well coming in. I think Towards the end there, I swear, Cassidy was going for some Cyclones onto Fnobbers, and if he landed it, they probably would have won the game, but I think if he didn't go for those Cyclones and he just tried to do damage to Warwicks, I think they could have also maybe won the game. So I think this series is far from over. That was a super close game.
Yeah, it was definitely very, very close. Just seemed like Tegridy Damp whittling down Ad Hoc Gaming's resources just little by little, and they just ran out of time towards the end there. But you're absolutely right, Zico. Very, very close. I'd love to see them try and do that again here as we head into game number 2, because they really could have been their game at any point, Ven.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, the matchup really doesn't get that close. I think the last kind of line of defense, the last cooldown that they had was that Void Shift from Zot. So there still was that one answer. But still, really, really close. You could see it. Even just the off heals from Cassidy really, really helping kind of defend against all that rot damage the UA Warlock and Shadow Priest has. So I would not be surprised, in all honesty, if we just saw the same matchup play out over and over for the rest of the series. I think on the big maps, Tegridy Damp probably has a little bit of an advantage. And on the small maps, Ad Hoc Gaming is going to have more of an advantage because it's going to be a lot easier for them to stay on target. But that kind of being said, when we saw kind of a pressure shift, I feel like Tegridy Damp, they were trying to make the map smaller. They were trying to play on the pillar, trying to play on top of the Discipline Free. So maybe the small map actually isn't as helpful as you might initially think.
Yeah, I like it. You changed your thought exactly. I was thinking, I was like, Fnobbers was actually running out of mana faster, and he was actually the one that needed the big map to drink. I feel like Relza didn't drink the entire game and almost outmanaged Fnobbers drinking multiple times. So if they pick a map where they can stop drinks, I feel like that's going to be really good for Ad Hoc Gaming in particular. So they definitely need to focus on that. I don't think we'll see any changes again. Hook Point's the best map to stop drinks. And having the support of Cassidy, like you said, for healing, decursing, having Facile be able to feign death and remove dots, also just limits the damage of Walrix and Zot, but then helps the Priest maintain mana for a later time as well. So having all of that utility on a small map, I think this will actually be very difficult for Tegridy Damp.
How viable do you think it is taking down the pet? Like,
the pet strat. I'm a big fan of that.
The pet strat. You got everyone, including the pet. Yeah, the BM pet. Take down the BM pet. Is that possible? I feel like it is.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it is possible.
I feel like it's really annoying as a hunter. I mean, I don't play hunter, but I would imagine it's really annoying if your pet's getting dotted the entire game. It just gives them more dot damage potential. I think it's a lot more likely, especially in the early game, that when they're doing their kind of burst setups, if they take down the pet, that's a lot more. I think they'll probably take that down before they take down, a Feral Druid, especially a Necrolord one.
Do you think that the smaller map here allows them to do that maybe a little bit easier, even like make that connection?
I think it's twice as hard on a small map.
To kill the pet, you can just drag it really far away. You think they need to be able to drag it really far away then, Zico, to kill?
No, I think it's like it's a priority thing.
Yeah,
so when I look at this match, it's like, okay, if I'm the Warlock and I'm on a small map, my priority is to try to get like a double or a triple Howl of Terror and then dot as many people as possible, and the pet is the lowest one on that list. So like if I can dot Relza and I can dot Cassidy, I would pick dotting Relza over Cassidy, because Relza is a lot harder to dot in general because he's always playing at the pillar, whereas Cassidy is always in my face. And if I can dot Cassidy, Relza, and Facile, I would dot Relza first, then I would dot Facile, and then I would dot Cassidy. And then if I have dots on everything, then I would also dot the pet. And I think that situation is a lot more likely to happen on a small map, because the best way, the best defense is aggression. When you're playing on Hook Point and you have a jungle trying to run down your Warlock and trying to land CC on cooldown, I think some of the best things you can do is what Warwicks did in that previous game when they were setting up that double CC and he just went behind the pillar, howled 2 people, and turned the situation on its head. I think you're going to be in a lot similar situations there, where Zot is going to have to land a double fear, or Warwick's going to have to land a double or a triple fear. And at that point, the pet is just the lowest priority. You have to dot everybody else and get as much pressure as possible. It's like a luxury dotting the pet.
Okay, well, time has run out here on the side of Ad Hoc Gaming to lock in their composition. Not really sure if they just didn't lock it in or we're still waiting on the UI to catch up, but, like we said here, is going to be going to Hook Point. That was Ad Hoc's map choice. So I'm certainly curious to see what either of these teams can do here in this small space, but there it is right there. We're going to be seeing jungle comp, so definitely not really much of a surprise here. But Zico, like, just to keep going with what you were saying, then who do you think has more of the advantage here, given the size of this map? I know it was Ad Hoc's choice, but...
Well, I feel like if Tegridy... I really feel like Ad Hoc Gaming, the best way I see them winning is playing on like a neutral map, dragging the game to 40 or 50% dampening, and then blowing up the Warlock, with unhealable damage. That's like a safe way for them to win the match. And the hard part for them is to make it to that point. I feel like on a small map, they have to win with a CC chain, and I think that's a lot harder to do. So, I don't know. I think if Tegridy Damp messes up, they'll lose. And I think regardless, this is going to be a faster paced match. But I would still say that I think Tegridy Damp has the edge.
Okay. Let's see if they can play it out here. Demonic Gateway secured for Walrick. Very important. Have that utility. Zot going to be the initial target. Facil's charging in. Cassidy swaps over to Walrix. They baited heal over time effects on the Shadow Priest. Now they're going after the Warlock, but a Mass Dispel slips through from Zot, removing the freezing trap. So nice utility there. The damage is still quite high. Fnaubers is going to have a difficult time allocating his cooldowns. He's going to go for Nature's Swiftness. Wasn't the biggest one, though. Trying to recover. I like his Innervate timing here. He's going to get a bunch of free, expensive heals to deal with that burst damage. And he uses Innervate very early, which means he gets it again. And it's very important that he maintains his mana. So that was a nice play early on to get ahead. Cassidy's now getting counter pressured heavily. Much more damage in game number 2. Fnaubers is going to sprint Walrix in. Zot's going to Door of Shadows to the right, and Walrix on the left. They're surrounding and swarming Ad Hoc Gaming on the pillar, but they may regret it as Cassidy and Facile have quite a nasty bite for them to return.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And right now, Zot using that Door of Shadows. He gets the Iron Bark, so Fnaubers once again is trying to save some mana, trying to just deflect the situation, but they swap over on the Walrick. It might just drop him. He ports away. See the Hellstone, Gladiator's Emblem is going to be used by him to bolster his health with that Drain Life, but Walrick is in a situation where he's kind of by himself right now. This is big trouble for Tegridy Damp. Big NS comes in from Fnaubers, saving the day. Walrick should be okay, and now looking for some UAs of himself, getting a lot of pressure here on Relza, and things can snowball out of control really quickly for this Priest into a silence. Everyone kind of rotting down, but Facile and Cassidy trying to keep up the pressure and really just force Fnaubers to do nothing but just heal in this match. And you can see Ad Hoc Gaming, they are ahead on mana, and if Fnaubers isn't able to drink, Ad Hoc Gaming might be able to just turn this strategy on its head.
Yeah, but Fnaubers right now is looking for a drink. He just dispelled himself. He's just sitting down. Facile coming in with the flare, and he's going to stop that drink. Fnaubers actually getting a roar there onto Facile. Facile looking for the trap there. So Fnaubers going to run away from him and try to swap position. And this is what we were talking about there. There's a Howl of Terror onto Relza. He's going to tank full row of dots here. Big damage onto Relza. He gets a shield before the disarm, though, comes through. Do they have a silence to follow it up? Doesn't look like it. They do have the silence, but they're going to hold on to it a little bit longer. Zot looking for the Master Spell here. He gets feared up.
Ooh.
Big damage onto Zot, finally going to force him to enter that dispersion. So a lot of pressure here from the jungle. They got a full freezing trap now, but it does get Master Spell. Actually, the Master Spell, I think I was maybe from Relza, I'm not sure, didn't get Fnaubers out of the trap regardless there. And that's going to be a nice cooldown that they forced there on the Shadow Priest. So Zot definitely going to be a nice target. But once again, Relza taking a lot of damage. Every time he crosses the map, every time he looks for a fear, he's going to be taking those dots. And the same thing goes here for Cassidy, for Facile. They're not going to be able to play the way they did in that previous game where they can just sit back a lot. Both teams have to be extremely aggressive, and now they're looking for another setup here onto Fnaubers, Sid.
There's an interesting build change here from the side of Ad Hoc Gaming. Cassidy went for Kyrian Feral Druid over Necrolord. This is a lot more burst damage, and I think that's why we see sudden spikes of damage rather than that kind of slow sustain that we saw in game number 1. And it's to try and catch Tegridy Damp off guard. He's also fielding out some different builds, and you can see the big bite comes in with that Kindred Spirits. They're going to Cyclone Zod at low health to deny recovery while stunning Fnaubers. Cassidy waiting to get out of fear, but now stunned very far away. Mind Games, big power play gets interrupted by Facile. Good backup backup from Facile to protect Cassidy. He's going to run behind the fence line. Relza has been trying to drink, and I think he did actually manage to get some mana. He's significantly ahead, but look at Fnobbers with that second Innervate timing. Facile's trying to trank shot it off. Don't think he got lucky on the Dispel there, so an Innervate will time out here for Fnobbers. Cassidy getting blasted down once again, pulled back to the pillar. They need to avoid this Dark Soul. Walrick's going to do a ton of damage with that, and he's trying to get in their face with Power Infusion as well. Relza now getting dotted up by Zot. Walrick's still standing on this side of the fence line. They're right on top of them. If they can stay in this position, they're absolutely going to choke out Relza's mana. Facile and Cassidy need to push them back.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Right now, we'll see. I mean, Relza, his mana's not looking good, trying to just keep himself alive, and things are spiraling out of control. But at the same time, Walrix takes a huge hit of damage and is forced to retreat. Facile and Cassidy doing a good job getting that counter pressure, but Relza had to burn through a lot there. Look at Fnobbers right now, just behind the pillar, potentially looking for a drink to recover mana, but he has no time. There's too much pressure coming in from Facile and Cassidy. Big drain life, though. Cassidy could get dropped. Relza in the back line, throwing in a Penance, gets silence on it. Mind Games coming in from Zot, line of sighted by Cassidy. Good positioning there, but look at how split up they are. This is not the positioning you really want as Ad Hoc Gaming. However, this little fence post is working out okay for Relza. He's able to avoid a lot of this dot damage, throw in some heals, and as long as Cassidy doesn't overstay his welcome, I think they should be able to survive. They actually get the dispersion. There's a big hit of burst damage, and at the very least, Ad Hoc Gaming is getting a lot of counter pressure. They might even outright drop him. Void Shift comes in. Big cooldowns forced Iron Bark, Void Shift, and Dispersion. Tegridy Damp definitely feeling that push.
Yeah, they pretty much overlap their entire defensive arsenal. They still have the Trinket, Nature Swiftness from Fnobbers, but Zot could be in a lot of trouble. I mean, Jungle could just kill him through that. And there it is, Nature Swiftness coming through. Now if they can keep trucking damage here onto Zot, that could just be it. They need pressure on the side of Tegridy Damp. Zot just used his Fade, which means now for another 40 seconds, he has no buttons to press. He is a sitting target dummy right now. Fnobbers mana about tied here with Relza, both of them hovering around 30% here. Facile looking for the push here. They're looking for the crowd control. There's the double stun. There's the entangling roots. There's the freezing trap. Fnobbers going to immediately trinket here. He knows he can't afford to fall behind here. And there's the thorns as well. Going to allow Zot here to get counter aggressive. Relza actually sitting up for a drink. I think he got a sip there as he takes a slight mana lead right now. Cassidy getting counterspell there on his Cyclone attempt, which is good for Relza. You know, Cassidy soaking up these interrupts means that Relza can free cast these smites, these mind games here in the back line, and that's going to help add a lot of pressure. And Ad Hoc Gaming right now looking like they might be able to win here on mana. Cassidy's going to trinket, landing his kick. He gets feared up here. Door coming out from Relza to stop the drink of Fnobbers here. Does he get it though is the question. The answer is yes, he does. Fnobbers has his Nature Swiftness now back up once again. Zot has his Dispersion, so that really scary situation is over. Now Cassidy instead, big trouble here on Cassidy. Uses his Battlemaster and that Auto Frenzy as well as his Survival Instinct. So now pressure shifting in favor of Tegridy Damp.
All right, let's see if they can keep the momentum. Relza tries to counter it with a Desperate Prayer Rapture as they're just trying to recover behind the fence. Walrix is pushing in. Facile is rotted down. He's going to pop Exhilaration, try and get aggressive, but he gets mind controlled. Cassidy is just rotting away to the damage of Tegridy Damp. Fnobbers is drinking very far. He went to the absolute farthest corner of Hook Point, and he got a bunch of mana off the back of that drink, putting his team back in the game. His mana management has been perfect so far this game. Definitely very important if his team finds victory on this small map. Now using Fleshcraft to try and immune incoming crowd control. Fnobbers avoids the assault. Relza is caught in a Howl of Terror. Cassidy's trying to jump over into the corner, or Fnobbers is trying to jump over to the corner to bait them out in the open, but now he's caught in a freezing trap. They're trying to burst down Zot. Zot has Dispersion. Maybe doesn't even need to do it. He's going aggressive. This is a risky gamble to take on such low health. Cassidy gets hit by Mind Game. Zot has to disperse. Damage lobbed back and forth. If I was Relza, I would really be feeling the pressure right now. Totally slowed up. They need to keep their momentum. They need to keep going for the kill. Can they do it? They land a Skull Bash on Fnobbers. Zot down at 10% with Vampiric Embrace, trying to recover. Going for the Greater Fade, the Shadow Meld, everything to avoid damage at this point. And he's managed to weather the storm and stay alive. Now they need to get dots out onto Relza as soon as possible. They're jumping into Void Form. They've stun-locked Relza. He's down at half health. Cassidy's trying to Cyclone. Is he going to be able to find it? Fnobbers gates away from the incoming crowd control. Right when Relza got to that side of the map, Fnobbers goes to the opposite side. Perfect positioning and defense play so far from Tegridy Damp, but their cooldowns are limited in this position. And Ad Hoc Gaming, they're fighting against the wall. They're a cornered dog at this point, and they are going to be dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely are. 20% dampening. This is when things really unravel for both of these teams. Fnobbers' heal over time effect's not going to be nearly as potent. Cassidy just needs to find his footing a little bit now. Going to be pushing forward, looking for that damage over onto Zappa. Relza almost completely tapped. They may have ran out of time. They got a few more pushes here. Where are the answers? The full trap does land on Fnobber. Zot just trying to survive, but pushing forward in the face of death, potentially looking to take down Cassidy. Now into a Cyclone. Good defensive plays here by Ad Hoc Gaming, just trying to buy Relza a little bit of time, but I think there's almost no chance he's going to be able to drink. Zot gets interrupted. Ironbark trades out from Fnobbers. He needs to survive. Big NS comes in, that Nature's Swiftness empowering his heals, and Zot will get topped off as a result. Big UA Dispel coming in from Relza, just trying to stay ahead of the damage over time effects. However, with no mana left, it's going to be really difficult. Door shadows away. Relza trying to reposition across the map, potentially looking for a drink if he can. Let's see if he's able to do it. Cassidy's looking for Cyclones, trying to slow down the game, but Walrick all over him, realizing with Unending Resolve, he has a lot of defense here. He just needs to make sure that Relza's never able to recover his mana, but Cassidy and Facile are really punishing that offensive play. Big Howlitaire. Walrick might just get dropped. There's no Void Shift, there's no NS, there's no Ironbark. Walrick has to be very careful right now. Tegridy Damp looking to take down Cassidy. They might just be able to take him down. He's so low.
Those Shadow Melt
defense. Cassidy looking to turn it around. Big damage on Walrick. Walrick could be in some trouble. At the same time, Cassidy just so incredibly low, and Relza has no mana to top him off. Looking for Cyclones, looking for anything he can. Defensive big fear coming in from Zod as he's looking to close out this game at 29% dampening. Cassidy somehow holds on with the frenzied regen. I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to sustain himself. Really not too much mana left to work with. Really not too many cooldowns left to work with. Tegridy Damp, they have them in a chokehold. They just need to make sure they don't throw this game away. Trade out the defensive cooldowns, continue the aggressive plays, and I don't think Ad Hoc Gaming can really sustain this much longer.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Relza is completely tapped. He's down to 50%. Cassidy is the only one with even any mana left in the tank here, and he's trying to get some counter pressure. Relza, though, stuck in the disarm here. Do they have the silence to follow it up? Big damage coming through. Cassidy throws a regrowth there, topping Relza almost in the midst of things. Relza alongside the mind games gets a fear onto Zot. Zot is going to trinket that one and just try to keep on tracking here. Relza so low with that pain suppression. Cassidy has his bark skin active, but Warwick's just going to have enough here. Use his unending resolve. Big damage coming in. Now they're pushing over onto Relza here. There's the power infusion from Zot. There's no way he survives this. Relza gets into the disorienting roar, uses the rapture, keeps himself alive here with the rapture. Unbelievable. Relza actually is going to be able to stay alive, but no. Finally, Shadow or Death is going to come in and take him out. Norbers, look at his mana though. Completely tapped here. Really close game once again.
I know exactly how that feels playing my Discipline Priest a lot in the last week, where you're just battling with 0 mana the whole time and you're kind of just wondering, how is this game even still going? I guess I'm gonna try, and then you just get squashed at the end of it. It's kind of like just like this little disappointing moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you really got to give credit to the healer there on Ad Hoc. He's sort of out of resources for a large majority of that game, and he still manages to keep his team alive for quite some time, like we've seen in game number 1 and 2, but we can see that damage breakdown right here.
I mean, it's impressive. There's a few things. I mean, obviously the overall damage Walrick and Zod is doing really impressive, but I mean, Facile kind of keeping up on that BM Hunter, doing a really good job. I mean, Cassidy, if you look at healing done, he's got a lot of heals on that Feral Druid, so he's keeping himself alive with Frenzied Regeneration. He's throwing in a lot of off heals, and yeah.
So this is the last couple of moments of the game, and I mean, at this point, this is like a desperation push. Fnobbers, he drops the preemptive Ironbark. Warwick uses his Unending Resolve. They know this is the only time we can really lose. They even have the Void Shift to fall back on if they need to. And at this point, they're just pushing Relza over, keeping the pressure up on the Priest. He's going to force the Hunter and the Feral to stack with him. So even if they don't kill the Priest here, they're going to get a lot of pressure here onto Cassidy. You can see his HP slowly starting to drop. Same thing goes for Facile here. He's going to get Crossfeared. Void Eruption is going to come in. Shadow or Death. And that is going to be the game. I wanted to say something when we were looking at the scoreboard, though. Cassidy with 1 million healing. Did you guys know that we just had our world first 14 key get solo healed by Feral Druid? I don't know if you guys know that.
What?
14 key?
Yeah.
I did not. Who was that?
Yeah. I don't know. I saw it on Wildhat's Twitter.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that is cool.
Cassidy is going to go do
that would make sense. Looking at the healing, the off healing by this Druid.
He did more healing than damage, so.
He did.
Maybe it was Cassidy.
Yeah.
He's making a good case for himself, for sure.
Oh man. Okay, well, we're seeing Tegridy Damp here 2-0 right now. It's a best of 5 series as well. Ad Hoc Gaming, like these guys have highlighted already, just so close so many times in game number 1 and 2. You know, weren't able to do it on the Grand, tried to switch to a smaller map, weren't able to do it there yet. What is it that they're missing then in these games on the side of Ad Hoc Gaming?
Mana, honestly, like it's just they're just getting to the point where they have enough damage. Like dampening is high enough, and also they have enough damage to kind of push through all that defense. And honestly, there's a few moments in that game they were barely holding on, but I was like, maybe Walrus has overstayed his welcome. Like there's a chance. I mean, if we saw the Priest last just a little bit longer, I feel like there really was that opportunity for them to take down either Walrus or Zot. I mean, we saw in a single push the kind of damage output that they have. They got Dispersion, they got Void Shift, they got Iron Bark. Basically, everything had been traded out. So one little push like that, it can look really good. I think I did like the Kyrian as well. The rot damage, I feel like Druids kind of specialize in healing against rot damage. Although, like you said, it's
actually
for them.
I think that was wrong. He should have been rot build on a small map and played for mana and attack 2 targets, and then maybe burst build on a big map and play a dampening game where you just try to go like 60% dampening lining on the pillar and try and overwhelm a single target. I should think Necro would have been better. It's more healing too.
I feel like we're seeing like the overall damage Facile is able to put out, so they have that kind of like just massive pressure.
But that's on one target.
Burst actually. No. I still am a fan of like the burst to take someone down, but
I'm just gonna put it out there. I think you should be Night Fae every game. But you guys,
I think Night Fae Druid wouldn't be bad either. I wonder if we're gonna do the whole circuit. He's gonna go every Covenant just to see which one feels the best. I think Necrolord on the small map makes sense, and then Night Fae on the big maps for just the one in, one tap, all in at deep dampening. They would have oomphed Knobbers so much faster. The reason they didn't oomph Knobbers that game was because they weren't Necrolord, but they got closer to kills. So it depends what you want to do. Do you want to try and get closer for kills or win on mana? And that's going to be your pick, Necrolord between Kyrian.
Something interesting to note about Cassidy as well is he's using the Bark Skin Legendary, which is part of why he's healing so high also.
Interesting.
Let's call it the Prot Legendary. That's what it is.
That's you. He's just allergic to protection.
You would think that I built up an immunity to it. You would
His
think
body's
that I would have an
rejecting
immunity.
it.
I would be the last person to be allergic, I would think. But I guess.
Everyone's telling you not to do it, including your own body, man.
I haven't done it yet. But Guardian actually is looking kind of good right now. I'm not going to lie. I've been seeing a lot of Guardians in RBGs, and maybe.
I'm disappointed we haven't seen the one Guardian build where you go Balance Affinity and you press Convoke and you can full moon people still.
They nerfed that. They nerfed that.
Did they? There was one cup where it was still like you could still do it. I really expected some people to use it because I saw at War Games in Europe people were doing that.
That's awesome.
Man. Okay, well, we've got both comps here on the board. No changes with the map size really either. So, Ad Hoc Gaming, they've got to have to reverse sweep this one if they want to win this first game of the day here and get those wins on the board for the Circuit series for them. This series is very, very important for either team in this one, so nobody wants to be knocked out just yet. So Ad Hoc Gaming certainly has it out for them, but is game number 3, Zico, is this the ticket for them, do you think?
I mean, they, like you already said, they have for sure a big uphill battle ahead of them. But, they are the only jungle in the world that qualified to a circuit in EU and NA. So if there is a team to do it, it's got to be these guys. They're taking their full time here, talking through the strats, looking in their comps and everything. So these games have been super close. So I wouldn't count them out completely here. I think for Ad Hoc, they just need to get that one win and start picking up that steam, and it just comes from those little changes. If they can just change, should we have been Necro? Should we have been Kyrian? Should we have been Night Fae, like Zico said? Probably. All those little details like that. If they can get those right, I think they're still in it.
What is your status right now on your Covenant, Ben?
He's a Night Fae.
Yeah.
No, he just abandoned the knight.
Sorry.
Go Kyrian.
I was adjusting my desk to sitting
Oh, are we
position.
sitting
But
now?
yeah, we're sitting. I'm Night Fae. I'm never switching off.
Okay.
Oh, look,
I actually
Cassidy
made a
went back
second mage,
Necrolord.
he's Night Fae as well.
He was
Oh,
thinking the
man.
same way I was thinking. They were way ahead on mana when he was Necrolord. They were closer to kills as Kyrian, but if you're close is not a kill. So would you rather go the safe route? I think that this is a better route for Cassidy.
All right, well, maybe they figured it out here. Heading into game number 3, Tegridy Damp, if they win this next one, this is a series win on the board for Tegridy Damp.
Yeah. And let's see how Facile and Cassidy decide to play it. If they can stop the drinks. I mean, there's a few really important moments in the last match where Fnaubers did sneak away and drink, and all it takes is that one recovery of mana. Ad Hoc Gaming, they really have to do a good job at shutting that down, because if Fnaubers doesn't drink, I do think Ad Hoc Gaming, they have that as their win condition and kind of turn around the dampening on Tegridy Damp, but we'll see if they can do it. Cassidy going to be pushing forward. It looks like they do want to start off on Zot, just getting out some bleed damage early on. Not too much pressure. Fnaubers going to be trading out an early Innervate to just stay ahead of the damage, stay ahead of the cooldowns, and try to keep his team nice and aggressive.
Yeah, and it's working well for them so far. Relza is in a lot of trouble. Nice interrupt there on the mind games from Zot, though. And now Relza getting stunned up himself. He's going to Door of Shadows away back to the pillar here. Facile is waiting there, though, in the wings. Could drop a freezing trap here if he wants to. He's going to go ahead and retreat here back to his team. Actually, no, he is pushing him for that freezing trap here. Let's see if he can find it. He's just going to stop Fnaubers here from drinking, stopping those early drinks. And that's one thing we didn't actually talk about in the previous game. Fnaubers did get that one drink, and then at the end of the match, he was completely tapped. So definitely important to try to keep stopping those drinks, because Relza is not going to he's not going to drink at all this match, most likely. So if they can keep Fnaubers from drinking as well, that is going to be a win condition for them later, considering how much healing Cassidy is actually doing here. I think that's why Relza is able to go toe-to-toe in terms of mana a lot of the time. Nice grip there. I think he actually did get the freezing trap there. Oh, no. Facile waited with the freezing trap there, but Zot does get the master spell here anyway. Ad Hoc Gaming trying to get some pressure, but Zot pushes in. Here's a fear onto Relza. That means Warwicks and Zot now going to be able to dot Relza. There's the mind games, and Cassidy is just going to spam heal through that. I almost want to see them drop the mind games on Cassidy when they do that disarm silence chain on the healer, and that way they might be able to catch Cassidy off guard and have him do a bunch of extra damage to Relza there. But so far, the pressure is looking great from Tegridy Damp. Relza already down to 60% mana here, Sid.
Oh, big Feral Frenzy onto Zot from Cassidy. Now swapping over to Walrix immediately, trying to punish the NS commitment and take down the Warlock. Double disorient. Cassidy looking for Cyclone out of this. Not able to find it. Cassidy gets shut down by Walrix, but Zot is taking so much damage. Look at Facile right in the face of Zot on a Hunter, just going at him by himself. Cassidy jumps in as well. Going to jump off the side, though, as Relza's in a Howl of Terror into a Fear, not wanting to stay in the line of sight of the Warlock and the Shadow Priest. Cassidy positions here on the ramp to be able to line of sight. Like that positioning. He's following his adaptive swarm, trying to make sure that he's hitting the target with amplified bleed damage. So good awareness from Cassidy, just maximizing his damage per second in this matchup, trying to win on mana. But I think Fnaubers maybe also just trying to drink a lot in this map. Will he be able to find it right now out in midfield? Relza is getting devastated right now. It's match point for them. And both of these teams really can't afford to lose, as they are expected to be the underdogs. Their composition's not exactly the most meta, so pulling off a win here is very important for their overall qualifications out of the circuit, out of the round robin. And right now, they are getting decimated. Relza's still out in midfield. He gets interrupted on Penance. Beautiful interrupt here into the stun. Relza trinkets and ducks around the corner, but will he be able to recover? He's trying to be greedy. He cannot use Radiance in this position. He's trying to use aggressive Penance, stay ahead of the damage with Solace. Maybe drink here. He's wandering off to the side. There's no portal on this side. He should be able to drink. I think there's something. All right, let's see if he gets how much mana he gets. Cassidy and Facile are intercepting Walrix and Zot. They're stopping him. He's going to full mana. Beautiful positioning there. Nice recovery by Ad Hoc.
Yeah, I mean, that can sometimes happen. You get so close to a potential kill. They almost take down Relza. Then they kind of just forgot about him for a second. He was able to sneak away, recover in that situation. And Cassidy and Facile did such a great job setting it up with crowd control. And that's exactly where you want to be at about 4 minutes into the game, about a minute away from dampening. Fnaubers' mana not looking too bad as he pushes forward, getting some big regrowths here on the Walrix. Zot and Walrix right now really just trying to get the pressure out on all 3 members, focusing down Relza when he can, forcing out Radiances. When those Radiances come in, that is when Relza is going to be burning through mana very quickly, and that is kind of the idea here for Tegridy Damp. However, when you're pushing in behind the pillar, you're going to be taking a lot of punishment. Warwick's feeling it right now, having to get the Nature Swiftness from Fnaubers. Now Fnaubers already down to around 50% mana, is going to have to look to recover his at some point in the match as he's falling further and further behind.
Yeah, and we're going to see Warwick's actually falling further and further behind right now. There's the
he's interrupted!
He's actually trying to get aggressive. Nice trinket kick there from Cassidy. But one of the beautiful things about being Night Fae is that you can use that Soul Shape even when you are locked on cast. Because it is a nature spell, and Warlocks don't have any nature school abilities. So Warwicks are able to duck out of that situation without actually using any of his real cooldowns there, and they forced out Cassidy's trinket. So that looked like Warwicks was the one losing that exchange, but he's actually the one coming out ahead here. And now here comes the Power Infusion, big damage, and Zot is playing that Power Infusion legendary, which allows him to give it to Warwicks and keep it on himself here. So double value. Warwicks right now draining everything here, draining the whole map, and draining their souls of his opponents here.
He's draining the sewers.
Warwick's looking like a plumber right now, just making sure the pipes are clean here in the Dalaran sewers.
Flushing Relza out to the ocean, just get it out of here. Warwick jumps off the side here, trying to bait them out in the open. Cassidy's stunned up here out in midfield, but that Barkskin legendary getting some value as he's looking to try and recover. Relza's drinking. Warwick skates on top of him, gets a Howl of Terror. That's fearing him out into the open. Zot could set up for lots of damage, but they don't have the stun. They already used it, so they're just going to keep fearing Relza. Cassidy's behind the pillar recovering with Fleshcraft. Relza is still just taking a lot of damage, trying to make his way back to the pillar in line of sight. Warwick going to get interrupted. Cassidy jumping back into the fight. They have a significant mana advantage at this point. They need to make a push for cooldown. Zot fishes for a Mind Games. Relza line of sights. Zot's Mind Games is basically their win condition. Anytime you see that being casted, that's going to be the scariest moment for Ad Hoc. They need to deal with it. And right now, the way they're dealing with it is by attacking the Shadow Priest. But Zot gets a double Psychic Scream and goes for the Mind Games on Cassidy. If Relza dispels this, which he does, he takes a big hit of damage on the Unstable Affliction. He was able to measure it up, knowing it wouldn't kill him in that position, but it is a stressful moment as the healer against this type of composition. They need to stay aggressive. Fnaubers Innervate getting some value here. Really like his Innervate usage throughout this series. Definitely an expert druid. But his man is still not in the best position despite it. He's trying to sneak away and drink. Vasil's just standing on top. He gets feared away. Fnaubers actually goes for this stealth drink. Fnaubers is going to go to full mana here. Warwick protected him with a Howl of Terror and a fear. And now, actually, maybe not full mana. He stopped his drink early because Zot was taking damage. Only up to half, but at least even at this point with Ad Hoc.
That was such a nice job there by Warwick, getting that Howl of Terror. That is just Vasil. He feels really sad from that one. Warwick right now taking a little bit of damage. Full Trap does land on Fnaubers. Is he going to get the spell? Doesn't look like it. Warwick trying to just counter pressure right now with his Dark Soul, getting a lot of damage out actually, going to full health with that Vampiric Embrace. So great job there by Tegridy Damp. Fnaubers was in crowd control. They just turned it around with offense. Force Ad Hoc Gaming back to the pillar. Warwick was able to hold on to all his defense, and now they're looking to continue to make a push. Look at Warwick just behind the pillar, draining Relza right now. He looks for a Shadowman, looking like he will be able to stabilize, but I feel like Tegridy Damp, they're kind of finding their footing in this matchup a little bit more, kind of realizing the moments when they can push in, and they're making it really difficult for Relza.
Yeah, definitely. They're pressuring him, making sure that he can't drink, and they're getting their own drinks right now. But I think they changed drinking, right? So you get less mana on the initial ticks, and then you get more towards the last ticks. Because Fnaubers actually sat down and drank for a while there, and he didn't actually get that much mana. So it's something to maybe keep out for. His mana is still worse than Relza, keep in mind, despite these drinks. So this is probably the best game so far for Ad Hoc Gaming here in terms of pressure, but look at all that pressure now onto Zot here. Full Freezing Trap secured. Zot going for the Master Spell. He does Juka. Actually, Vasil not opting to use his interrupt right there on that Master Spell, maybe trying to save it for just damage instead. Warwick's instead taking a lot of damage here. Cassidy looking for the low Cyclone. He gets interrupted there. Fnaubers gets interrupted there. Now Fnaubers looking to power through the heals here. Can he do it? Still a lot of damage. That Battlemaster is going to fall for Warwick in a couple of seconds. He's going to take a lot of damage here when Fnaubers is in that stun. This could be huge here. They get the Freezing Trap. No Master Spell available. And Fnaubers is going to trade out the Trinket there. That was also the unending resolve. All of a sudden, if they get a full clean trap onto Fnaubers and they can combo it with some good burst, there is a win condition here for Ad Hoc Gaming. The only thing that can save Warwick in that situation would be that Void Shift of Zot.
At this point, I feel like Ad Hoc Gaming just need to survive Dark Soul Power Infusion. If they can survive that, they're massively ahead on mana. They've still got momentum. Here comes the Dark Soul Power Infusion. Will they be able to counter pressure? Zot's dipping low. He can't attack. He's on the run during his cooldowns. He's trying to retreat and heal himself back up. Fnaubers doesn't have a lot of mana to recover, but now they're swapping back to Walrick. Mind Game's casted onto Walrick. He wants to get aggressive during Dark Soul, but he's getting pushed away. He's getting no value. He's getting decimated right now, and that's going to be the Void Shift. Zot trading his health to Walrick. Relza got blasted amidst all of that chaos as well. Zot now has to disperse. He manages to hold on to Walrick's life, but they get almost no value. They got at least pressure. Mind Game silence. Relza ducks off the side, but he was too slow. Mind Games connects. He's counterspelled. He could easily fall. It's match point. He's holding on by a thread. Cassidy tossing out heals. Relza recovers. Cassidy takes a deep breath there. That cost 2 Radiance charges, though. That was a lot of mana for Relza. They need to turn this around, but he's still very low. Walrix is just going for the kill. On 10% health, Walrix is trying to go for it. He gets a big heal from Fnaubers to back him up and stay in the fight. Relza has pretty much spent all of the mana that he's worked so hard to build up as an advantage just in that singular push. Fnaubers in the freezing trap. Zot is very low. Fade is about to fade, and Zot may not be able to survive. He's in kill shot range. Fnaubers stunned up. Zot's trying to power out some Shadow Mends and stay in this. He Shadow Melds, but it's not enough. He's interrupted. And Ad Hoc Gaming are going to put a point on the board, 1-2, but they need to win 2 more, and that looked pretty sketchy on their map pick.
My favorite moment, as soon as Cassidy won, he went, ooh, when he looked at the camera, he's like, yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to pull that one off again. That was a pretty close call. But, I mean, to be fair, all 3 of these games have been incredibly close. Like, I really feel like this is one of those series that could go any way. And I feel like for Tegridy Damp, they really have to put their best foot forward if they want to win this one, because this is by no means over.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, if you were paying attention in game 1 and 2, you saw those moments that Ad Hoc Gaming almost got it, but in game number 3, they were finally able to pull it off here, and they've taken a game off of Tegridy Damp. And we can see those final moments as well right here.
Relza just barely surviving there, and here he's still like on the kind of heavy fire. So one thing, Warwick is actually playing with the spell lock pad here, which means that when Fnaubers gets trapped here, there's actually no way around it. Look at Facile here. He's going to teleport in with that Door of Shadows and then trap out of the Disorient effect there. And normally here there would be an Imp Dispel. There's no cover for this trap, but because Warwick has opted for the aggressive pad, that means he can't get that freezing trap. It gets followed up with a stun, and Fnaubers just doesn't have any, nature swiftness or like instant heal there. So close match, but I like Ben already kind of alluded to. I don't know how repeatable that feels.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. There's a noticeable difference in Cassidy's damage that game.
Necrolord's
massive.
Necrolord's pretty good.
It's like a 50%
overall.
increase. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll have to see. I mean, you guys have already said difficult to repeat here for Ad Hoc Gaming. Now it's going to be Tegridy Damp's map choice, and that's definitely going to switch things up here. If they're going to be playing that same composition, Supatis, where do you think we're going to be going to next in terms of map choice, and how much is that going to throw off Ad Hoc Gaming and what they just did?
I think they're going to try a big map. I would be very surprised if Walrix and Zot Fnaubers didn't go to a big map. Probably the best one is Empyrean Domain because it's the smallest pillar, and that means you're more likely to actually get cast off on the healer. Empyrean Domain is really hard to deal because I've been playing against it on my priest and against Mind Games on that map. You almost can't line it. If the casters are pulling your Feral out in the open, you get into these spots where it's impossible to line Mind Games and you can just get destroyed. So to me, Empyrean Domain should be the map pick for Tegridy Damp, and then Ad Hoc Gaming need to make that decision. Is it a big map? Are we just going to wait behind the pillar for deep dampening and then just try and swarm the Warlock down with overwhelming damage like Zico was talking about earlier on in the series? I think that you do. I don't know if you can get away with playing the Necrolord build because it's such a big map for Cassidy to go after the Warlock and then get back to the Shadow Priest and then get back to the pillar. He's not going to be able to get bleeds up on multiple targets. So I actually think you do go Night Fae Feral, and you just bank on this big Convoke, deep dampening, and try and one-tap somebody. I feel like that's... Okay, Tolveron's okay. I still think Empyrean Domain would have been better. These pillars are... Relza will be able to line of sight because they're so big comparatively to Empyrean Domain. It's not obviously not a terrible pick. I don't think this is a terrible pick, but Empyrean Domain, I think, should be their last one if they don't go to it after this.
Okay, well, pretty pretty fast draft process as well. We're seeing both comps locked in. Games should be starting here shortly. Ad Hoc Gaming don't have another chance to lose a game if they want to win this series here against Tegridy Damp. So very, very important that they repeat what we just saw in that last game. But I mean, very, very well fought by Ad Hoc Gaming for that last game. Tegridy Damp, though, it just seems like, you know, despite their last loss, Zico, it seems like they're just pretty controlled throughout this series. It seems like they're just playing very clean, and I wonder how they're going to be doing for the rest of this round robin.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job rotating their defense, looking for drinks, all that stuff. The one thing is, I think they've been really aggressive, and surprisingly enough, at least in that last game, it didn't really net them that much pressure. So I'm curious to see how this map is going to play out here. They're obviously going to have to push in a lot early on the side of Tegridy Damp, so it could backfire with a big pillar. It could be hard to target Relza. Or if they stay back, if they do the triangle formation with, you know, 2 wizards on max range, I actually wonder how much poke damage they will have, if they will even have enough to actually make Ad Hoc Gaming lead the pillar. This map, I feel like there's some unanswered questions here, but it could backfire. There's always that option.
Well, we're going to see here if Tegridy Damp can close it out in game number 4 on Tolvaron Arena. It's going to change things up quite a bit from Ad Hoc Gaming's success that they just saw on that last map. Tolvaron Arena, that is the map that we see these caster compositions really shine here. So let's see what they can do heading into game number 4.
I actually think they should have gone to Runes of Lordaeron. I think it's all about just getting Relza off of a pillar. Pick the maps with the smallest or lack of pillars so you can cast on Relza. Picking this map, Relza has a pillar, so I'm wondering how Tegridy Damp are going to pull him off of it. And I do wonder if Ad Hoc Gaming will pull this off. Cassidy's stuck with Necrolord. I think that he likes the defensive bonus of it as well, getting the Fleshcraft Shield, getting Adaptive Swarm for both his healing and his damage. It also increases his damage while he's running. So if he's got bleeds on a target and he's got Adaptive Swarm on that target, he's basically doing full damage, even if he's running away from the target. So I think it makes sense, but it's not as bursty. So if they want to go for like a miracle kill, that's not going to be an option. They're going to need to win the mana game with the build that they've gone with.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. Just kind of looking at the different soulbinds and conduits that he's using as that Necrolord. I think for the most part, this is just going to be one of those games, especially on this map. It's kind of what you talked about, where this map is good for them, but at the same time, they're not going to be able to really push in behind the pillar onto Relza, and when they do, they're going to get swatted away, which is exactly what we just saw here on Walrix. They're already getting the Iron Bark. Zot now pushing in, and I think for the side of Cassidy, Facile, and Relza, they can just kind of hit whoever overextends away from Fnobbers, and at some point, Walrick and Zot won't be able to sustain that, and they'll have to run away. And I think the nature of this map, and with these pillars, I think this is just going to require a ton of dampening. Unless we see like a big one-shot, I feel like both these teams are going to be playing for mana, playing very conservative, and I don't know if they're going to be able to shut down drinks on Fnobbers like we saw in Runes of Lordaeron, or sorry, like we saw in Dalaran Sewers.
Yeah, it's kind of what we were talking about. They don't have that much poke damage on the side of Tegridy Damp, so they need to push in, and that's exactly what they're doing right now. Relza taking some damage, but Cassidy does get one heal out, and the mana is still looking good here. Triple Fear coming in. Relza's still taking a lot of damage. There's a Mind Games on him right now. Cassidy looking for Cyclone, gets it onto Zot, trying to Cyclone his Trinket. Zot waiting with his Trinket, and trinketing late, but he's snared by that trap, and this is exactly what they need to do. Just drop those tar traps on the pillar, and just try to slow anything that comes and just hit whatever you can. For the jungle, it's about not losing mana more so than it is about gaining that pressure. For Fnobbers, he can basically go for drinks whenever he wants. The jungle can't really do too much about it. So for them, it's a lot more important to just make sure that Relza doesn't actually spend his mana, because they're going to need it later in dampening.
I almost wonder if Relza would have died if this was Runes of Lordaeron in that opening stage. He was taking so much damage. The map is definitely backfiring a bit here. We started to fall behind on mana. The advantage they get is that it's easy for Fnobbers to drink. It should be almost ridiculously easy for him to drink on this map, but what happens in dampening if they can't Relza is the question. We saw a stun engagement here from Zot, but he's not able to combo it with anything. Cassidy intercepted, and now his silence and stun are desynced a bit. He's going to go for the silence now, try and fish for interrupts and get a mind games, get stunned on it. Ironbark in a trade from Fnobbers during that burst moment out from Cassidy, and looks like they're trying to run. Mind games does slip through onto Relza. Cassidy's going to need to heal him up. He can't afford to dispel it at 50% health. If he hits that unstable affliction, he'll definitely go down. Walrus is trying to stay on target. Triple Howl of Terror. They're definitely dogpiling on top of Ad Hoc Gaming at this point. They need to use the Ursul's Vortex and the Entangling Roots a little bit more. I would have liked to have maybe seen a Deep Roots build. Can be tough, obviously, with so many root breaks on the side of Ad Hoc Gaming, but I think that Ursul's Vortex, at least, is very important for them to hold Relza in place. They should go for a stun, Ursul's Vortex, then Mind Games. Relza gets pulled back into it, maybe root him just to annoy him, even if he gets Masters called out of it. If they can pin the targets with the Druid utility and get Mind Games off during that pin, I think that's how they win this game.
Yeah, Fnobbers right now, you can see just sitting down for a drink, and I don't even think Cassidy, Seal, and Relza are going to bother trying to shut that down. They really can't stop it. Just all about pressure, make sure they stay alive as long as they can. Maybe Relza won't be able to drink on that map. I think that is one thing for Tegridy Damp, all this pressure that they're developing, especially if they can push in. I don't know if Relza is ever going to be able to fully recover his mana, so that's definitely something to look for or look out for as this game marches forward. Zot getting interrupted, getting Thorns, and immediately Facile and Cassidy, they want no part of that Thorns buff, and they're going to avoid that damage at all costs. But look at the positioning. Walrix, Zot pushing in, getting dots on all three members. And this pillar isn't looking nearly as safe for Relza as I initially thought, as Tegridy Damp is just kind of throwing caution at the wind and dogpiling on Ad Hoc Gaming right now.
No, it's working out really nice for them so far. They've burnt down 50% of Relza's mana, and Fnobbers has just been able to do exactly what he wants to do on this map, which is just sit back, don't get crowd controlled, go for drinks early on, and keep everybody, nice and aggressive. Everybody's going to get some hots, and then they can push him behind the pillar again, and it's working out really well for them so far. But Relza still having, quite a decent amount of mana here, heading into dampening. Actually kind of almost tied here with Fnobbers, so Relza's been doing a great job so far, keeping his mana up, but that was with his Shadow as well, which just faded. Warwick's taking a lot of damage here. Unending Resolve is going to get forced out there, and that's the problem. When you stay at the pillar for too long against the jungle, well, you are going to be line of sighting your healer, and that can definitely open up some opportunities here. You're trying to get too aggressive, trying to land a little bit too many dots onto Relza, and you find yourself having to trade out your biggest defensive cooldown. Warwick's has no way out of a stun here as well, and his portal is on that same pillar. So Warwick's getaway strat here is pretty obvious. He's going to teleport and then gateway, and here comes the trap. No, Facile not able to land it, but Warwick does teleport there. Not going to use his gateway here, though, in that situation. Double disorienting roar is going to allow Cassidy potentially to get back here to the pillar if he wants to. Facile and Cassidy looking a little bit uncoordinated there. Facile teleporting over to Warwick but to do damage, but he gets Cyclone at the same time. So still a bit of a stalemate. This is a good position here for Fnobbers to go for a drink, and this is an opportunity for the jungle potentially to try to get some pressure onto Warwick's while Fnobbers is drinking. But Fnobbers could allow Warwick's to drop low here and just use his nature swiftness when he comes out of the drink if he needs to. Doesn't even look like he's going to need to do that, and he's going to recover a decent amount of mana here, retain his mana lead.
One thing that could be very important for Tegridy Damp is that Walrick is actually playing a dwarf. And this is a really smart racial choice on his part, as he can use the stone form and remove bleeds from the Feral Druid, and Cassidy's running a bleed build. So when Walrix makes a big push deeper in dampening, he'll be able to remove all the Feral Druid damage, and that could be likely very important for his team. But at the moment, he's getting pressured, not even behind the pillar. He's going to have to use Portal and Gateway. Maybe they chase him down. He's still critically low. Mind Game's being casted out here by Relza. Connects onto Walrix. Huge pressure out. Will he go down? Freezing Trap just ends. Big heal comes in from Fnobbers. Now Warwick is getting aggressive to turn the tide of battle. I love that Ursul's Vortex pinning the whole team here right on top of Warwick. I like these entangling roots as well from Fnobbers on this push to try and find some damage, but they're just not finding it. Fnobbers even fishing out some Moonfire. Zot going to Door of Shadows to the left side, try and pincer them at the pillar and keep the momentum that they got and try and get some Radiance charges from Relza, which I think they managed to actually fish one out with that Door of Shadows. And as long as they can stop Relza from drinking, they are slowly choking them out.
They certainly are. Like I said, I feel like as long as Tegridy Damp can play this aggressive, Relza's never going to be able to recover that mana. And he's getting really low. Big heals coming in. Walrick at the same time, though, with no Unending Resolve, going to be feeling a little bit susceptible. He's got the Iron Bark, so feeling confident to push in. This Dwarf just going to be looking to make those plays. Big Howl of Terror comes in, getting UAs up on everyone. 17% dampening. Mana looking good for Tegridy Damp. They're one away from closing out this series. They just have to hold on, maintain this pressure. For Ad Hoc Gaming, they're going to have to try to find an opening. They need to wait a little bit longer in dampening if they want to get a counter kill here. We're at 18% right now, and this game is just going to get more and more unstable for both these teams. Zoc getting swapped too.
Whoa.
Got the fade, doesn't want to throw away the game. What a huge hit that was from Facile onto Zot. Greater Fade will keep him alive as Waller continues to push. And Fnobbers, you got to feel for this Restoration Druid, just healing up two crazy casters, just pushing in behind the pillar over and over. Definitely got to be a stressful situation for him.
Yeah, and right now 30 seconds until he has that nature swiftness, until he has that iron bark as well. So he's not going to have any real way of picking anybody up here. So Fnobbers just going to have to stay ahead at this point in time. They do have the fade to fall back on and the dispersion, things like that. But for Fnobbers, you definitely want to avoid having to use those abilities if you can. Here comes the Thorns, and he's trying to get some heals out onto Zot. This is one of those dangerous situations, but Zot is going to have his fade rotating back up in a second here, and he should be fine. Warwick's chasing after Relza here. Relza was looking for an opportunity maybe to grab a drink there, but Warwick's not going to let him. And Warwick's is not playing the Imp pet here. He's playing the Fell Hunter, which means that he's going to be able to interrupt, Cassidy or Relza on some of those casts. Now, once again, Zot with Power Infusion, big damage rolling out here from Warwick's with that Dark Soul Power Infusion combo, as well as with Zot's Power Infusion here, of course, with that Void form, doing a lot of damage. Relza down to about 25-30% mana or so, and I mean, they got them in the chokehold. If you're Ad Hoc Gaming, it's kind of time to start pushing the gas pedal here and try to make something happen, because you are very limited on time. I would say another 2-3 minutes here, and it's going to be over.
Big.
Was it the real one though? There's two green fell ravagers, so I think it might have been the fake pet, the Haiti clone pet. So
it's real too.
Okay, Facile reses his pet though. If they had managed to stop him from resing his pet, I think they could have just killed him outright. They might still just kill them outright. Mind Games Fish from Zot. This is where I want to see an Ursula's Vortex. They get it over here, but not on the team. So they are just going to run behind the pillar. I think it may have been better to just place it on the whole team, not just on only the Feral Druid. Now they're going to just retreat, use Fleshcraft, poke away at Zot, try and scare him away. Relza uses Door of Shadows, but that's Walrick's pillar. He's got Portal on that pillar. So Walrick is going to portal over, get in line of sight, stop the drink. Zot's fishing for door baits to try and use a defensive cooldown on it, but he's not committed. He gets stunned up and actually has to disperse out of thin air, and they cyclone the dispersion. Beautiful cyclone. Ad Hoc Gaming could just take this here. Fnobbers trinkets out of Freezing Trap desperately to stabilize. There's no nature swiftness. Zot now has to fade. He's on the run. Cassidy's trying to push in for the kill. Relza's slipping away and trying to drink while his team has pressure. If Relza gets a drink here, that's going to be so crucial. Walrick knows he needs to stop it. Uses Soul Shape into Howl of Terror. Now Cassidy's out in midfield trying to retreat back to the corner here. Zot Door of Shadows in. He's in Void Form. They got Silence. They got Dark Soul. They got Power Infusion coming up. They could just kill them with this push. They need an Ursula's Vortex. They need entangling root spam onto the whole team, but Zot's getting pressured away. He's not comfortable. He is not comfortable whatsoever. Cassidy is tearing in, pushing them back right when they wanted to go for the kill. Will they go down in their push? Zot is going to get smacked out of the game right when they thought they were going to win. Ad Hoc Gaming steal it away, tying this up 2-2 and go to game 5.
There was one turning point in the match. Fnobbers was going for a drink, and they thought they'd be cheeky and just trade out the dispersion, but when that dispersion got cycloned, they were able to continue the chain, and although Fnobbers was able to recover his mana, he could just never recover their health bars, and Ad Hoc Gaming took full advantage of it. Beautifully done.
My goodness, that just goes to show how close these top 8 teams are, how high this level of competition is going to be for the rest of these 4 cups in the circuit. Tied up now 2-2, Ad Hoc Gaming versus Tegridy Damp. They saw that moment of opportunity and they took it right here.
Yeah, this is the moment. And for Tegridy Damp, you have to play around your micro cooldowns. So like right now, Zot, he has no fade. Fnobbers has no iron bark. So they have no damage reduction. They have nothing that can just pause the spike of damage that the jungle can do. So it's a really risky position here for them to push in. If you're Zot, you just stay back here and just keep dotting. But they're going in, getting aggressive. You let Warwick be the aggressive player here instead. But instead, he's going to get the Master Spell. And look at that disorienting roar from Cassidy. Beautiful stuff there. And I mean, that's what it comes down to. They went for the drink. Fnobbers had no trinket. They got it. They got the dispersion. They cycloned it, and then he pushed in again when he had no buttons. And yeah, the Ad Hoc Gaming are just going to take that and punish it immediately.
Dude, BM Hunters look horrifying. I can't believe he's keeping up with a UA Warlock. Like, that's unheard of. Really?
Yeah.
What even I need to go look at those changes really quick.
It's Flayed Shot, I think, mostly. Flayed Shot's free now. So you get Flayed Shot up, and it's a dot that ticks and can proc your kill shot at any time. And then obviously Beastmaster has just been getting like a couple of just flat out damage buffs over time. So now they're looking pretty scary. I was starting to wonder, like, where is it going to end up in terms of a ranking? Is it better than MM? I wasn't sold on it being better than MM, but now I'm pretty sold on it being better than MM in this specific series. So this could be a threat. And Ad Hoc Gaming, who else? Is there even a single hunter other than Facile on any team? Even in alt? I don't think so. Pretty sure he's the only hunter. So Ad Hoc Gaming might have a little secret weapon in EU.
In this region?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's not so secret.
There's some alts.
You think?
Yeah. Kara can play it on Kowana Gaming.
Okay, yeah. That's fair.
Okay.
They're going to a good map. I like this map. Empyrean Domain. I would have gone Runes
This is what
of
you wanted
Lordaeron.
the last game, right?
Yeah, I think this one's a good like
games
fail
ago?
safe. This is the good fail safe. Like this is where you go for the safer option. But I think they should have done Runes of Lordaeron in the last game and been really aggressive on Relza. This is an in between. You can still somewhat drink on this, and the pillars are small, so Ursul's Vortex will keep them out in the open, and that's what I want to see. Fnaubers improve on with his team is when they're going for Dark Soul Power Infusion. Fnaubers is the lockdown. He needs to be just spamming out roots with Vortex. Maybe even, I mean, it could get really aggressive. He uses Wild Charge to get in and root targets, but he's the one that pins the targets. He's the one that enables the Warlock and the Shadow Priest to actually get damage off onto their targets. So his defense and mana management has been really good. Now they just need to get their offense all together, and then Ad Hoc Gaming should likely struggle here in Game 5.
Oh man, what a great way to start this. You know, it's cup number 1, it's day number 1. This is the first series of the day, and here we are on game 5. These teams just absolutely neck and neck, back and forth. This next game could really be anyone's match, but it seems like Ad Hoc Gaming, they've really found that momentum that we were looking for in game number 3. They're finding their stride within this series here, and I can't help but feel like they're gonna secure this victory going into this next series. But Tegridy Damp, very, very strong team. We've seen what they can do here in this series, and I really couldn't even make a prediction on this one, guys. What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like this map has to favor Tegridy Damp. There really is no question. I mean, Ad Hoc Gaming, they're not going to have a big pillar they can use. It's going to be a large map, so Fnaubers should be able to get away and drink. I feel like Tegridy Damp, they got punished for the greed. They got punished for the greed, but that game was looking good for them for the majority of the game, and they were almost at the point where they could push Ad Hoc Gaming over. So I feel like my brain is saying Tegridy Damp still got this, but Ad Hoc Gaming, they're battling it back. Every single game has been close, and they definitely have the momentum going into this one.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm kind of in a similar boat there. My heart is saying Ad Hoc Gaming. You know, they feel like the underdog, but my brain is saying Tegridy Damp on, such an excellent map for them. I just don't see them losing this one. They would have to make some massive mistakes, or Ad Hoc Gaming would have to just land like some insane CC chain or something, but it's definitely possible, and we've been saying this since the first game played in this series. This has been a very, very close one. Right now, Relza is feeling the heat. Nice Ursul's Vortex there. They're going to get some nice dots there onto Relza. Now they're going to look to get some dots on Cassidy and Facile as well. Facile now looking for the trap. Can he get it is the question. They get a bash onto Zot. They get a full freezing trap onto Fnaubers. Master Spell comes out. There's a preemptive Iron Bark as well. Fnaubers with one big Swiftman able to keep Zot at full HP. Now Warwick's going to be the one taking the damage. Zot has that Iron Bark rolling, or they just faded now. They're going to go back to Zot now that the Iron Bark is over, bleed him up a bit, and they're doing that strategy that we've been talking about. They're just dotting both of these targets. Warwick has Thorns. We're going to go over to Zot. Zot has Iron Bark. We're going to go over to Warwick's, and that's going to be very annoying for Fnaubers to deal with. He sat down there trying to get a drink, and look what happened to Warwick's HP immediately here. Warwick's the plumber here draining these pets, and he's going to be able to get full HP again. Fnobbers looking for the drink. Warwick's immediately getting opened on, and Cassidy. Also worth noting, Cassidy is playing with that bleed legendary now. So now his Moonfire and his bleeds do 40% more damage, as well as his Rejuvenation is doing 40% more healing. So he swapped out of that tank legendary that he was using earlier with the Bark Skin, giving you a free Frenzy for more dot damage. And that's also why his damage has been much higher in these last couple of games compared to the first couple of games.
Well, let's see if they can keep this position and keep their mana. Fnobbers is going to drink. BM is also just doing good damage while they're at the pillar. Like those two little fell minions, you see those pets just poking away at Zot. I mean, those are getting damage while Ferelza and Cassidy aren't taking damage. And that's why Fnobbers is actually spending more mana. So they can just stay at the pillar here. They need to figure out how to pin them on the pillar and get some damage out. Otherwise, the poke from the BM Hunter is actually likely going to Fnobbers. Still just waiting for that triple Ursul's Vortex, waiting for the triple root combo with Psychic Horror. There's the Howl of Terror, fearing them off the pillar. Now Fnobbers is moving forward. Is he maybe playing Bash this time around? He is playing Bash. I like that as well. Just pushing in and stunning the Feral Druid. Put more crowd control in the Feral, because the Feral is actually what's providing most of the recovery healing. The Priest is all slow recovery. The Feral will top you off with regrowth. So more crowd control in the Feral. And this is beautiful! Oh! Beautiful push by them. Absolute beauty there right at the end. Sunlocking the whole team, getting crowd control on the board, and Ad Hoc Gaming under respond. Tegridy Damp going to close it 3-2.
I don't like seeing their cameras. You can see their disappointment when they lose like that. But go ahead, man.
It's sad, but someone has to lose. And
Yeah.
Tegridy Damp, they're going to be happy to claim the victory. That game went a lot faster than we thought, but it was like Sid was saying, on that map is a lot better for these kind of wizard setups, especially because now there's no big pillar, and you could really see the lack of the pillar in this one. Everyone was kind of dotted up. We see some adaptations here from Fnobbers, but just a lot of pressure coming in from the side of Tegridy Damp. And we mentioned it at the beginning of the series, when they do get, they have a lot of rot pressure, but at the same time, they have that capability, if they get a mind games, to just drop someone really, really quickly with their instant crowd control. And this is where kind of things start falling apart for the side of Ad Hoc Gaming. Fnobbers pushes in for a bash. Cassidy and crowd control also getting spell locked. And it is Cassidy who eventually does go down. Walrus just dotting everyone up. The crowd control comes in. He decides to trinket and just go for it. Big Shadow Fear comes in. Zot with the mind games, quickly dropping Cassidy. And they really probably didn't expect that. But Tegridy Damp going to be happy to claim the series and claim the first point of the day.
Mm-hmm.